Hey everyone, this is a review of Ryobi's HP brushless 40 volt Whisper Series 730 CFM blower. This thing is an absolute beast. I'm going to show you what it can do and what I like about it and what I don't like about it. So this has a cruise control option. You push this down, you can see it pulling the trigger in. This is a variable speed trigger as well, so you can run it just a little bit or you can run it full blast, and then you can push this button on top for turbo. So the specifications on this are 730 CFM on turbo mode. That's when you push this top button right here. For regular high mode, it's 550 CFM. And I did measure the output force on this by holding it just above a scale. And it came out to 5.2 pounds with the reducing nozzle on for speed. And if you take that off, you get more airflow. And it comes out to 6 pounds of air force this thing has at the nozzle. So you do get more force out of this at a slower speed when you're running it without the speed tip, and when you put this on you get a little bit less force, but it kicks it up from 145 miles per hour nozzle velocity up to 190. And you can actually take this nozzle and trim it along these cut lines for different speeds. So if you want 160 miles per hour, here it is, 170, and if you leave it like it is, it's 190. It comes with two of these nozzles, so you can pick two different settings you want and have one of each. The nozzle has a positive locating spot on the top here and on the bottom. This tab right here just clicks into place in between these two, and it's got a notch that it holds itself on, so it's not going to come off without you wanting it to. To take off, you just pull this tab up and push it, and it comes right off. To pull the whole nozzle off on this thing, you actually just take this in a similar manner and clip it off, and there you go, you've just got the blower body. Some really interesting things, if you look down the barrel of this, you've got foam on the interior. That's on both sides. You can see foam lining the whole thing, and then you've got a kind of a felt along the back here. That is all for noise reduction. So that's muffling the airflow so you don't get quite as much of a high-pitched noise when you're running this blower, and it gives it the Whisper Series performance. Also, you can see in here, they did some really interesting stuff with that heat sink right there. That's a big aluminum heat sink that runs parallel to the airflow, and they're using the airflow through this to cool down the battery electronics in the motor. So it's a great design option they have to keep your batteries cool. You get better performance when you keep them cool, as well as keeping your motor cool. So the balance on this is a little bit back heavy, especially if you have a 6 amp hour battery on this. I'm holding it right about where I hold the trigger, a little bit forward in the center in the handle, and you can see it pitches up. However, there is so much force from the air on this thing, when you hold it and run it, it pitches down and points at the ground where you want it to. All right, let's also talk noise, because this is the Whisper Series. I think Ryobi's claiming it's around 70 decibels of output. It's a little bit louder than I expected it to be for Whisper Series, but if you compare it to other blowers in this class, it is way quieter. Now, I usually run this thing in turbo. When you take it out of turbo and leave it in the 550 CFM mode on high, it is very quiet. In fact, I'm just going to talk here for a little bit for reference. I got my microphone right here, and this is still running. It gives you an idea. I'm not really talking any louder than I was before. This is just the noise level that you're going to expect out of this. And then for reference, turbo is quite a bit louder than it is on high. And part of that's due to the pitch of the motor at that speed. I measured the runtime on turbo with a 4 amp hour battery installed, and I got 10.5 minutes, which was right around what they list for the specifications on this. So if you use another 4 amp hour battery, that's 21 minutes total runtime with the kit that it comes with, and you can recharge one part way while you're using the other one, and you can also use bigger batteries for longer runtime. The performance on this blower is absolutely fantastic. It is capable of blowing wet leaves through tall grass. You have to get a little bit closer on those, but it will definitely move them and pick them up and clear them out of the way. I went ahead and tested it on a sidewalk. These are dry leaves, but you can see it in one pass just as fast as I can walk at a normal pace. It's blowing off both the strip of grass between the street and the sidewalk as well. I use this thing to clear gutters. These gutters were absolutely packed with leaves and debris and sticks, and it was still able to clear them. The sticks got hung up a little bit on the supports for the gutters, but that was the only thing it had problems with. If you're doing grass clippings, this thing barely even notices them. They're just gone. The only downsides I can think of this thing are it's a little bit heavy. It weighs in around 10 pounds. And then if you put a 6 amp hour battery on it, it gets pretty tiring to hold after doing a whole yard. But just for little bits here and there, doing a driveway, doing sidewalks, you don't really notice the weight that much. So the one thing I really don't like about this blower is how top heavy it is. So if you take this blower and push it sideways just a little bit, it slams down on the battery, and you can see it's top heavy just because it doesn't have very much of a wide base right here. I don't know why they didn't make this a wider base on the bottom. But if you stand it upright like that, it's probably going to fall over at the slightest touch. As far as price point goes on this, it's $330 for a 2 battery kit. That's 2 4 amp hour batteries, a charger, and the blower itself. I think that's pretty much in line with the rest of the blowers in this class. They're all up around $300 for about the same watt hour of battery and around the same performance, although the Ryobi beats everything else in CFM for handheld blowers that I could find that are battery powered. So while the kit is pretty pricey, I think it's worth it, and I think this is actually a tool to get into the 40 volt platform on because of its awesome performance. So thanks to Ryobi for providing this for review. As always, y'all are getting my complete unbiased opinion on this. This is an exceptionally awesome tool.